Hey guys, Matt, IronTrap Garage, and we are back working on the Schroll Coupe. Last time, you guys remember, we were working on the floor pans, and we got all the floor pans bead rolled, and we got them clecoed in place, and they are looking good. The main reason I wanted to jump on that was just to get the floor pans sitting in place so I could start to kind of sit in there and kind of figure out what I want to do for seat padding, and then also kind of get the steering column set up all sorted on this thing. We also did the dashboard in the car, and that kind of gave us our 2 points where the feet are going to be for the floorboards and also where the dash is going to be for the steering column to come up through, and then we can kind of fill in the gaps and see where everything is. I have a feeling after talking to the gentleman a while ago when I first got the car that Larry actually bought it from, he had told me that the steering wheel position and kind of the way it sat was kind of uncomfortable in the car and wasn't very ergonomic, as much as a 8-inch channel 32 could be, but we're going to try and make it a little bit better. So what I have is this old Buick steering column that they actually used in the car here, and I got it mounted back up in the car. The nice thing about this steering box is there's actually tons of room the way they did all this. So there is actually room for the old starter that sits back in here. Usually you have to do a starter changeover, but on this one, the way the engine sits, the height of it actually, you can swing the starter right in there. So that's a huge help. Saves some looking for a pretty expensive starter changeover. And on the inside here, you can see the steering column where it comes out. I've already test fitted the column, and the way it sits, it's actually a little too far forward for me, for my taste, and we want to get it just a little bit closer to me so I can kind of scooch back a little bit on the seat and lean back a little bit, and that will kind of get a better seating position. Will definitely be a little more comfortable. So we want to extend the steering column, and I don't mind doing that because already the steering column has some like really kind of not great welds. It's like they messed up and they welded twice. So we want to cut all this stuff out of here, because we know just when we were spinning the steering box by hand, not even remotely trying to see if it was true, it was way out of round. So what I'm going to do is actually cut it way back here, cut that all off, and I'm going to make a kind of like press fit sleeve. And then what I have is, this is this old Mercury wheel. I got the Turlock swap meet that is identical almost to what was in the car, just the other one was a station wagon, but it's this cool green color. It kind of matches what the car is, and so that's really cool. And I have a spare steering column. I'm always hoarding parts, but I cut this off of a steering box that was all seized and rusty inside, but the steering column itself was good. So we have this long piece. It fits this just fine. So what we can do is take this and put it on there and just trim it to fit, and then I'll machine up a sleeve. We'll get the old chrome steering column tube in, and hopefully I have a steering box and column set up here pretty soon. All right, so I got my holes drilled here in our sleeve that we're using, and these, I think I've shown these before in other videos. These dowel pins are hardened dowel pins, and I think these ones are 3/16 by 1 inch long. So these dowel pins, I drill a hole that is just barely oversized, and what I generally do is pick a drill bit that's the same size as the dowel pin, and because a drill bit really doesn't drill perfectly round and actually drills a little oversized, it ends up being perfect where it's like a hammer fit through. So what we can do with this is we can take, you can see I have the hole drilled here, and this pin is like a perfect fit. There's not really any wiggle, it's just right. The tubing is about the same, has just a little burr on the inside edge, so I'll just tap it in a little bit, but this can just be hammered through here, and because it's just a little bit wider overall, or about the same width as this whole assembly here, we can then TIG weld this pin to the sleeve, and that'll get us locked in, as well as welding everything else. But these pins are really nice. I think I got these at MSC or something like that. I can get them all different lengths, diameters, but they have an incredible shear strength on them. I forget what these are, but these ones I use quite often for the steering boxes, because it's a nice smaller size that you can get in there without having to hog out the whole hole. So the shaft on the steering box was actually a solid shaft versus the old Ford one that we're mating it to is hollow, but it's still, I think, good to put these pins in. So I'm gonna get the pin on this one knocked in, and then we can drill the hole through this one, then through our shaft, put everything together, and we should be good to start welding all this stuff together. Change out the trophy roll. Actually, I may have to.
You gotta drop it down.
Yeah, I may have to.
Does it split the pedal?
Let me just get it. Okay, so now we can go up through that. right, so I got my column drop all cleaned up. Before those last couple shots, I was drilling holes and tapping the top of this. Also off camera, I had put this in the blast cabinet just to get it all roughed up so it looks like an old cast piece. I did a lot of that on the Pagoda City Coupe and also on the Sweetheart Roadster. Thought it'd be cool on this car to do that, so I have it all hit with the blaster, so it kind of doesn't look like it was just made today. So the way I have this done is it's just a loop in here that I filed carefully so that it fits on the column just as so. Just a little bit of play, and then it slides down like this. And then I matched up with an original 32 column drop. I had the bowl holes here so that we could get them lined up on the dash. So this fits in like that. And I'm going to be painting this eventually, so for right now, we're just going to mock it up real quick to show you guys what it all looks like. Ended up dropping the, as I was doing all this, I kind of decided to drop the steering column just a little bit because it looked a little funny, and I kind of figured out how I could move the pedals around a little bit to get my legs working and get the column dropped down a little bit so that while it felt comfortable in the car a little higher, it looked kind of goofy when it was up quite as high, so we dropped it maybe an inch or so. When I was kind of doing this column, or a column drop, I kind of made that executive decision. So we'll get this lined up. So one thing I noticed when we were mocking all this up that I need to work out still is I think the column is bottoming out here on the back side of the wheel when I tighten everything down. So it's real good when I just start the nut and get it threaded down, but when you crank it down all the way tight, I need to trim this column tube back or put a little spacer in there. It's kind of a dance because I want the column tube to kind of disappear behind the steering wheel there, so I got to dress that up a little bit, just get it working a little better. But for now, I'll get this on and just tighten it down so you guys can see what everything looks like. Just minor inconveniences that come up doing this stuff. All right, so got the steering column drop all hooked up. Like I mentioned in our last shot, got to just work a little bit on where the bearing area is to make sure everything's, to get some clearance and get everything sitting right. But when I leave the wheel just a little bit loose, like keep a couple threads off, it actually works out pretty good. Like I said, we dropped the steering height just a little bit, and it is like way comfortable now for me. It feels really good. It may look a little weird still from outside the car because you can see so much of the wheel, but when you channel a car this hard, that's just part of it. But I like doing that drop. It was kind of a fun thing to make a little cast piece, a cast look piece. So when we spray, we're gonna take that off eventually and just spray it kind of a satin black, if you will, and let it age like the rest of the car. And then if we ever redo the car to a higher quality, we can easily take that off, spray it really nice, or even possibly get it chromed, who knows. But for now, it kind of gets the steering all set up and in place so that we can kind of start working on our seat position and all that kind of stuff. And figure it out from there. I'm still playing with what we're doing with the seat. We are struggling with this car being channeled so hard, getting the kind of height right. Modifying the floor pan is not out of the question, but I don't know yet. We're going to keep working forward with the car and just keep forward motion going. And we may need to modify things from there, or we may be able to make it work and it's not that bad, but I'm gonna keep working from there. But it's really cool to have a dash, a steering wheel, steering column. I love the old chrome column that I was able to work in here, and it just pops when the doors open, or even you just peek inside, it looks really cool. And this thing is just so like 1959, 1962 hot rod. So I'm really excited to be moving along this quick on the car. So let me know what you guys think of the steering drop and the steering column on the car and how everything's turning out. Thanks guys for watching. Catch you later.